Good morning, Gwinnett Church. My name is Trace Blackmore, and I'm so excited that I get to share with you my story, and specifically the first time that I came here to Gwinnett Church. I'm actually going to take you back a little further, all the way back to elementary school, but don't worry, I'm not going to stay there long. When I was in elementary school, I remember going to a church that was so incredibly boring, I could not wait until the clock would strike. It was time to go. Much unlike the experience that our kids are enjoying just right down the hall. And it wasn't too long after that my parents stopped going to church. And when I started driving, I decided that I wanted to go to church again. Well, I took with me questions that I needed answered about my own faith. But I never got answers. In fact, some of those questions I was discouraged from even asking. And I took those unanswered questions to college. And when my friends found out I went to church and asked me those same questions, it was so easy for me to turn my back on my faith. And I spent most of my adult life that way. Fast forward a couple of years, and a friend of mine, Nathan Russian, he invited me to lunch, and we had been to lunch dozens of times, but this lunch was different. He invited me to Gwinnett Church. Now, back then, I had developed a superpower, and that superpower was getting out of a church invitation just like that. But I decided not to use it that day, and on that particular Sunday, my wife had to work, and I was about halfway here from Decula to Sugar Hill when my phone rang, and it was Nathan, and he was very apologetic, and he said, "I'm sorry, something came up. I'm not going to be able to meet with you today." So I had every reason in the world to turn the car around and go home, but I didn't. And as I made it up to Gwinnett Church and turned in the parking lot, I realized this is a pretty big place. And the thing about big places is lots of people come to them and they all leave at the same time. And normally it's a big inconvenience getting out. Well, I was thinking, how can I turn around and turn the car back to Decula? Well, right about then, somebody waved at me, and they directed me where to park. Now, how many people have taken the "I said this, you heard that" study? All right, so something about me is I am a primary color of red with a secondary color of red. So I am really into organization, and the fact that Gwinnett Church knew so many people were coming, and they had people out there to make that process as efficient as possible, that gave me enough reason to get out of that car. And when I got out of that car, the same person that showed me where to park, they greeted me. As I walked up to the church, somebody opened the door for me, and they told me they were glad that I was here. As I walked up to the theater, somebody also said hello to me, and then somebody showed me where to sit. A couple minutes went by, and the lights dimmed, and we were all asked to stand and sing. And folks, I didn't even pretend to sing. I didn't even pretend to mouth the words. So after we were asked to sit down, then it happened. I was introduced to virtual Andy. Well, after the message concluded, I left, and the parking lot was as efficient as I imagined. And I couldn't wait for my wife to return home because she had to work that day. And I told her about my experience. And then she told me, I want to experience that. And folks, we've been coming back to Gwinnett Church ever since. Well, somebody told us one of the ways to make a big church feel small was to volunteer. And we started volunteering in guest services where we would open the doors for people, letting them know that we were glad they were here. We did that for about a year, and then we were looking for other areas that we could serve in. Well, somebody got wind of that, and they started talking to me about transit. And folks, there was nothing in my mind that was thinking I need to go work with middle school students. Well, Stu Epsy got wind of that, and we had lunch, and I spent the entire lunch trying to convince Stu why I was so wrong to serve in transit. Well, when I was over, Stu just laughed, and he said, "You know, Trace, you just told me all the right reasons why you need to serve in transit." And I'm sure glad that he did. Folks, we have so much fun over there. I look forward to serving in transit probably more than most anything in my week. And we get some great t-shirts. And the conversations that we have with those boys is nothing like you would expect a middle schooler to have. In fact, the same questions that I grew up with are the questions that they've had, and we've talked about them. And that's the cool thing. We get to talk about it, and they get the answers that they need. They are building a faith of their own, a faith that they can take with them to college to answer the questions that I wasn't able to. And imagine the impact they're going to have on the people when they answer those questions. I'm so blessed to have that opportunity. I've also been blessed to be part of the leadership development group. I'm leading my own men's group. And folks, last November, I was baptized. I remember when I was asked to serve, I had questions maybe like you do. I don't know if I have time to serve. I don't know if I have the skills to serve in certain areas. I don't know if it really matters if I serve. Does it make a difference? Does anybody care? Well, I hope you can find the answers to those questions through my personal story. And I don't know if the people that served me on my very first day are sitting out here, but if you are, I want you to know I am so glad you said yes to volunteering.